On Thursday night at the Game Awards, Naughty Dog brought a brand new trailer showing off a brand new character, Nadine Ross. Nadine Ross is a black woman from South Africa. Fast forward 2 days, PlayStation experience, another big panel all about Uncharted 4, and we got most of the cast is there, including Nolan North, and we also have Laura Bailey. Laura Bailey is playing the character of Nadine Ross. Now, I didn't know any of this going into the PlayStation experience, so I don't know how much of this was well known prior to the PlayStation experience. Greg Miller, Trending Gamer of the Year, pointed out in a rather obvious observation that, hey, that's a black woman. Hey, she's a white woman. What gives, basically? And I kind of felt the same way, especially on the first watch of the trailer and finding out that Laura Bailey was playing this character, Nadine. I wouldn't say I got upset, but thoughts went through my head and said, why is this happening? Why couldn't they cast a black woman, especially African woman, to play a South African woman in this role? There are many people that are on the belief of characters of color need to be portrayed by actors and actresses of color. And I understand their position completely, and I have no problem with anyone that has that position. But to respond to Greg, the creative director and the writer on Uncharted 4, Neil Druckmann, had this response.
I was up late last night reading NeoGAF, as people always warn me not to do. NeoGAF, and a lot of people were talking about that, so I wanted to give some background to that thing. So when we cast this character, we had no final look for the character. We just had kind of who she is, the army she runs, and just she's from South Africa. So we sent out a big kind of casting call to all sorts of agents, including Laura's agent. So we brought into audition black actors, white actors, American actors, actors from South Africa. And they were all, not all, some of them were not so good, but a lot of them were really good. And then Laura walks in, and I'm going to embarrass her a little bit, and just kills it. And I'm there with a casting director, with an editor, with my co-writer, Josh Scher, and we're all just floored at how good she was. And there was no question in our mind, that's Nadine. I'm going to make her cry. I'm going to keep going until she cries. So then, going back to the office and looking at all these character designs, and we have this really awesome character concept artist, Ashley Swodowski, came up with the look of the character that's very close to what you're seeing in the game. And I was like, this is awesome. How often do you see a character of color like this that's ripped? And I was like, this also is Nadine. And somebody on the team said, well, you have a white actor, it's a black character. Are you sure you want to do that? You're inviting controversy. And I said, well, you might be right. Let's hold off on maybe on changing it, because some people were saying we should change the look of the character. Let's get it in the game. Let's see it all together, and then make the call. So character is modeled. We're working on hair. I'm showing them my curly hair. Like, you got to get the curls right. And then at some point, we finally get to review a scene, and that's like months later. We were capturing scenes meanwhile. Get to see it. And I no longer see Laura's performance. I no longer see like the character, the concept art. I don't see the hard work of all these animators, these modelers, everything it takes to bring this scene to life. I see Nadine, and that combination just felt so right. And like we all fell in love with that character. And I was like, you can't change anything. This is who this character is, and that to me is what's so awesome about our medium, is your outward appearance doesn't matter at all. If it did, Troy couldn't play Joel in The Last of Us.
Right.
Ashley Johnson couldn't play Ellie. Like in the movie version, they can't play those roles, and they played them to perfection. And likewise, there's another really important character that I can't bring up that's in Uncharted 4 that
Nate and Elena's kid.
That is a white character played by a black actor, and again, that's what's awesome about our medium. And that was, in that case, that was the best choice. And I felt like if we were to change these characters, we would be operating out of fear of something that's outside the game, and these were the best calls for the Uncharted 4. So I stand by that. 110%, and I wouldn't change anything. And I'm so proud of Laura's performance, and I hope none of this takes away from what she was able to accomplish. Yeah.
Now, normally, I'm a pretty progressive thinker, a pretty progressive person. I like to think of things better than they are and still stay in today's reality and deal with it so that I can try to make things better. And normally, when I think, this is something that I want there to be a better normalization of these sorts of things where a black person can play a white person role, especially in the voice acting, when that sort of thing doesn't really come to place. Laura Bailey is a fantastic voice actress. If you don't know anything about her, you should check out her IMDb page. You probably will be there for 5 minutes just looking at all the things that she's done this year. I completely stand behind Neil Druckmann and everyone at Naughty Dog where they kept Laura Bailey as a voiceover as well as keeping Nadine in her appearance and keeping her history as a South African woman. I totally acknowledge that we live in a world that is unfair to women, where they're not getting equal pay, especially in this country and other countries. They're not getting equal pay compared to men. I completely understand. Obviously, I'm black, and I live in a world where minorities are treated unfairly, still to this day, and we don't have the same opportunities of that of a majority of people do. I completely understand that. Still, knowing that and thinking that, I still stand by the decision to continue to go on with Laura Bailey. There may not be a lot of pushback on this right now. A lot of people think it's just a media thing, but at the same time, I know that there will be some pushback at some point, whether it be from a black group or some minority group or whatever it is, because in the black community we do like having a role that is for a black person to be portrayed by a black person. We want opportunities, we want a chance to be in the same level as everyone else. So right now the black community may not know entirely that this is happening right now or may not care, but there are roles and there are positions, there are points where they will care, and this is just another example of where they may care or may not. I don't have a problem with it because I think we should progress as a people and all as a society, and I'm glad that Neil and everyone at Naughty Dog stuck by their decision to continue going forward. This isn't completely unprecedented, obviously. This has happened before. In fact, as Neil pointed out in the video, that they have a unrevealed character that is a white character but being portrayed by a black voice actor, a male. This happens all the time. One of my favorite series is Avatar and The Legend of Korra. That both franchises, I love them both. One of the reasons why I love them is because the races, the characters in the shows are fairly racially ambiguous. They're people of light skin and they're people of dark skin. There's no, this is a black person. There's no, this is a white person or a Hispanic person at all. They don't make those observations. They don't point those things out. So you can assume based off the skin tone that Mako Bolin or Asami and her father are white people, but what does that really put the southern or the northern water tribe? They're darker skin. They're not necessarily black. They're not necessarily Native American or Hispanic or whatever, Middle Eastern. They don't even say. They don't acknowledge race whatsoever. They just have the different tribes. So, with that being said, Korra, who is of the Southern Water Tribe, has a darker skin and she's voiced by Janet Varney, who is a white woman. It doesn't matter whatsoever. It absolutely doesn't come into play. And if you had no idea who Janet Varney was going into the show or even after the show, it would make absolutely no difference because Janet did such a great job with the voice that you identify her voice as Korra. That's what happens with great actors. They take command of the role and it becomes their own, and they bring life to the character to the point where you don't see or hear that actor, but you see and hear that character and you believe that they're real. On a quick side note, I'd like to give a shout out to the devs at Naughty Dog for hooking up Nadine. She's beautiful. Her hair is amazing. Look at the curls. The curls are on fleek. They're just moving just perfectly. I love them. Great job on the hair and the animation. The entire game looks gorgeous, but Nadine's hair and all, this isn't an issue whatsoever. It could become one later on, but Neil did a good job of squashing it right now. And if anything else comes up, they can refer back to that video with Neil. And of course, he's already got an answer prepared because it's a position that they stood a ground on and had. As far as we know right now, Nadine's race is not significant to the character to the point where it's very important that they have to be a certain color. She's not Martin Luther King. If this was that sort of thing, if the character you're portraying is Martin Luther King, it would be completely wrong for you to cast a white person to play Martin Luther King or Coretta Scott King. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But this isn't the case whatsoever. If you're watching this on YouTube, guess what? This is a video companion to our written article. So there's actually words typed out on the screen for you to read on blurty.com for this article. And we have tons of other articles on the website that you can read that don't have video. So you should check it out. See other things about gaming, cosplay, and comic books. So check out blurty.com.